One of the more recent developments in the Spider-Man comics is the concept of the Spider Family. No, not that one. Or that one. I'm talking about the introduction and rise in prominence of characters like Silk, Spider-Boy, Miles Morales being brought into the main universe, and opening up old wounds from the Clone Saga in the form of Kane and Ben Reilly. How does this affect Peter? Well, it makes him boring as watching paint dry. When these characters were introduced, a lot of them were more powerful than Peter, and took away some aspects of what made Spider Man stories. Miles Morales, for example, allowed us to play the teen Spider Man angle of juggling jobs, relationships, and superheroism. We have Spider Boy here, and he's an example of the mimetic Parker luck being turned into a story. For those of you who don't know, the Parker luck is basically Peter being a woe and a bad omen to everyone and everything he has ever held dear. Except Bailey is a homeless 10-year-old who nobody remembers and is starved for companionship. It's a bit easier to take in Bailey's whining because he doesn't have the long history Peter has, and he's also 10. Even with Silk, we explore the social and societal aspects of her being a spider character a bit more. Silk started out as one of the worst characters in the entire line, and then she was recharacterized into a woman child with social abilities that are trapped in the 90s because she grew up in isolation. Honestly, her trying to adjust to the world that isn't the 90s, or whenever this sliding timeline took place, is more interesting than Peter trying to adjust to adulthood, mainly because Peter has been an adult for decades. At least the revamp gave Silk something unique to do. Peter, meanwhile, hasn't evolved at all. Characters like Miles, Bailey, and Cindy have all taken away aspects of Peter's stories, and that's fine to me. I don't mind them doing that so long as they give Peter something to do, growing and evolving the character and his relationships. However, that's not the case. I think he's frankly regressing because of the cyclic nature of Spider Man stories as a whole. You would think Peter would have new adventures because of the new opportunities that are presented so that they don't have a redundancy, but no, he still has to play this down on his luck everyman who is a pathetic loser and brings misery and woe to everyone and everywhere. And he can't ever have a true victory or be happy. When you have a character who can never win, never do anything right, never, ever get a victory, that's not good storytelling. That's just flat storytelling. There are no stakes because everything stays consistent. There's no escalation. So, when it comes to storylines like Gang War, the stakes aren't there. They never were. You're just throwing nonsense at a wall trying to get stuff to stick. And this issue isn't limited to the Zeb Wells run. Nick Spencer's run, which immediately preceded the Zeb Wells run, was very much a back to basics run. Now, a back to basics arc, I don't mind, but for a whole run, no. But if you put this side by side with the whole mysteries Nick Spencer kept teasing, and the lack of payoff for any of those mysteries, it really felt like editorial was trying to kneecap the run at any given point to make sure that Peter stayed in a specific box. Peter seems to just spin his wheels, going around in circles like there's no tomorrow, and honestly, I think that's the biggest issue with Peter as a whole. He is the least interesting character in the franchise that's named after him. He was the character who broke the dynamic of teen heroes being teen heroes. It used to be that teen heroes were mostly a sidekick role or a supporting character role, and when he started out, he was the starring role. And now he is just overshadowed. Overshadowed by the fact that his life needs to be as cyclical as possible. How many times do we need to see him be a walking disaster to everyone and everything around him, or a self insert for whatever writer comes next? I think we're done here. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.